And we're in on... Let's check Twitch first. It's usually faster. Come on. You can do it. Restream? Yep, we're in on Restream. Are we in on Twitch? We're in on Twitch. Are we in on YouTube? Not yet. We're in on YouTube. And... check and check. Yeah. Here we go. Welcome to the Code Hangout number 78. Hopefully the last part of the new color tool implementation. Gotta do some cleaning up. I did a bunch this week. And then the final kind of feature add-in is to be able to actually export and import color sets. It's probably just going to be like a paste some JSON into a dialog type thing. Let's first make sure we update Git with whatever I did the last couple of days. So let's have a quick look at that. So I think I've fiddled with what I was saying. Oh yeah, with some color variables stuff to get the CSS working. So on the buttons we have a little outline that also works in dark mode. So if we check dark mode, yeah, so we don't have weird halo lines that we had around the buttons. I might have screwed something up, so that's why this is going to be in testing for a while. Let me check. Mark submitted something earlier. What do you say? This will completely remove hide the fringe pure CSS. Okay, well, I have it in pure CSS as well. So war body background, he used calc. He changed. I'm just looking at something that Mark sent me, which is he implemented the sort of size differences between the two elements. Although, why would he change the size of these? That's unnecessary. That's unnecessary because the whole point of the outline is that it overlaps the square. So we have kind of a 2-pixel outline in the background color of the button around each square. So basically what was happening was that because of the transform resizing, the square with the color overlaps on a white square to basically, and with transparency to basically replicate the actual color on the board, on the button. But somehow, because of rounding errors, you would see like a white sort of halo half pixel line surrounding the color, which kind of looked odd. And it was a dark line in dark mode. Now I wanted to experiment with having a slightly less transparent color, so it's not, so they don't all look so bright, so they're kind of more intense. I mean, the thing is, one of the problems I have is that the only way to get the colors to be accurate while still being transparent, without being brightened up, is to also place those elements. So basically putting these colors in the SVG twice. Once at the top with transparency and once underneath without transparency. And the problem is I'm running into performance issues because of the complexity and scale of all the elements in the SVG. So just replicate. Now that I'm saying it, there is a way in SVG to reference something else. So SVG ref. And how does that work exactly? So, pass ref to, no. Element reference SVG ref. Ref on SVG. Reference parameters. Basically, I know there's a way of placing an SVG aspect into elsewhere into the thing, but I'm not sure if it means that it would have to be inside the defs element first. Because right now what we have is, if we look at our elements palette here, so what we have is we have a group for each of the kind of layers, and then here's the colors layer. And it's basically above certain things and below certain things, right? Where are the colors here? It's above the underlay, right? Now, what I could imagine doing is moving this into the defs group at the top, and then referencing it twice, and only making one of them transparent with like an extra class. It's something I could hack in to test it, and I just might try that. It might be interesting. Because that's kind of the ultimate, and there's some other things where I would also want a copy of a layer above and below something. Now, what I don't know is if it doesn't still have the same sort of cost in terms of performance and how many elements there are being rendered inside the DOM. Let's make this a little bigger for you guys so you can see it. Because I know that I can use this. How does use work? Like, the question is, can it reference something that's not inside a def? Use element takes nodes from within the SVG that duplicates somewhere else. So, hear me out. So this has the ID of cell colors, right? So let's see how exactly this use thing should work. Let's put this over here. So let's just, when we're setting everything up, enter handle tool enter basically. So I'm just gonna do something really silly. I'm gonna get a reference to the SVG element, right? So this is under framework.app.svg renderer.getElem, I think. And I'm just gonna, this isn't gonna be very helpful. Put that here and that at the top. If I do that, yeah. So let svg equals here. And then we can do, just to be simple, adjacent. So we're just gonna use this. So svg element, insert adjacent element after begin. And here we're basically gonna just put this use thing in. So it'll be use href equals, and we have on the element, I guess we already have an ID on it. I think it's cell colors with the US spelling, just to be clear. So if I do this, and I'm guessing I have to position it. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe if I do this, maybe this is enough. Let's try it out. In fact, I'm already seeing an effect because I'm seeing the colors to be much stronger. Right? That's not just me. So we have this here, and if I put colors here, we get this. And now that's a shadow element. So now the question is, does this also have transparency? And if I put a color with an alpha opacity on top of the same color without the opacity, so my question right now is this transparent? And one way of checking this basically by changing the color behind it, right? So if I take whatever element this is and make it I don't know, magenta, right? F0F. Like that. Right. And then if I... Sorry. This is a little awkward. So, for example, cell colors, right? If I do display none here. Okay, then the problem is then they both disappear, right? But if I put display none here, it doesn't affect the other one, right? So if I... Alright. Now, if I change the transparency of this one with opacity 0.3. Okay, so they both become less opaque. But can I change that here? Opacity 1. No. So that's kind of the problem of how can I change the styling in here. So then the question for me becomes, if I give this a class, or if we're, because we might be using cell color. Cell color. Okay. So there's no styling for cell colors here, or here, or here. So we go back to cell colors. Get rid of that opacity. Okay, so then the opacity is actually implemented in the colors here, not in the whole layer. That makes it slightly more awkward. Or maybe not at all, right? So we have this cell color. Cell color opacity, right? So let's find cell color. So if I do dot cell color, right? Yeah, here we go. So now if I do inside a use element, or, you know, is there like a inherit initial revert unset? Yeah, let's just make it 1. If I do this with a, like, as a child of a use element, how does that now work? So we go back to this. Background magenta. And now I want to go back into the SVG. If I make this display none. Okay. And if I don't know if there's a way of hiding the one above it. Because, you know, like if I change anything on this, this is also inside of here, inside the shadow root. Unless, so if I do something like, if I do hash cell dash colors display none. So basically, I was just doing this for testing here. So if I hide it and then unhide it if it's inside a use element, display block or display. Actually, what is the display on this? Computed display inline. All right, inline. So if I do this, so this one, display none. Why is this not overriding that? What if I do this? None. Maybe I cannot CSS style stuff. CSS style elements inside SVG use. The other thing I can do is, if there's kind of 2 inside, since there's 2, I can use positional. So I could say, like this. I don't know how it works, right? Because where we are, this is the 4th child, let's say, of this tag. So I could say, okay, the 4th child of this is display none. Now this won't be the 4th child, but it is replicating this. So I don't know how the styling applies exactly there. The use might not actually replicate, like as if, it might replicate the result of the element, not the raw structure. This is actually a little complicated. Styling. There was a way of styling inside shadow root. Style inside shadow root. Like, for example, right? Let's say if I saw, let's try next sibling styling. So CSS next sibling selector. Like, select whatever comes after the thing that comes before it. Paragraph that comes immediately after any image, right? So let's say if we style, the G that comes after underlay, which is this one, but not this one, right? So if we do underlay plus G, and we'll make display none. So that should only apply to that one, but you see it does seem to apply to our reference thing here, display none. And if I try to figure out where the display none comes from, transform origin, like it doesn't even show up here, you see? But if I look at this one, it has a display none here. Styling in the shadow DOM. Styling in the shadow DOM. Shadow DOM with art. Art button. The count 23 custom problem. You just say it's less than idea. Using part to style the element instead. Art. Default styling. Dotted. Int. CSS. Styling. Use. SVG inside use. Inside use element. The use element takes nodes from within the SVG and duplicates them somewhere else. The effect is the same as if the nodes were deeply cloned into a non-exposed DOM, then pasted where the use element is, much like clone template elements. Most attributes on use do not override those already on the element referenced by use. This differs from how CSS style attributes override those set earlier in the cascade. Only the attributes x, y, width, height, and href on the use element will override those set in the referenced elements. Any other elements not set on the referenced element will be applied to the use element. A use element, that's clone's descendants. CSS properties are not guaranteed to be inherited by the clone DOM unless you explicitly request using CSS inherited. So maybe I can do it and I just have to change wait a second. If opacity, if this works, then this should also work. Right? Because that seemed to have worked. So it didn't work. Unless... Oh, wait, it's... No. So, cell colors... this, cell color, opacity 0. Right. Now, if I go inside the use, go in here, find this. So there's cell color... Except it's not showing me here. I don't know how well you guys can see that. Here we have our colors, right? Not SVG transform. HTML. Yeah, it's not referencing them correctly, and I don't know why. Xlink href. Attributes typically in favor of href. Alright, that's not... Texas nodes were deeply cloned. Second, I'm starting to get a bit cool. Multiple units do not override. Since the clone nodes are not exposed, care must be taken when a use element and its clone descendants. CSS properties are not guaranteed to be inherited by the clone DOM unless you explicitly request them using CSS inheritance. Security reasons, browsers may apply the same order in use elements and may not refuse them. Okay. Right there. This feature is no longer recommended. Though some browsers might still support it. It might be already been removed. Table. Alright, is there something else I can do? Yes, I can surround the G with something else. And I might actually be able to do this manually, so I don't have to mess around with writing code to do it. Because I think these are just sitting here somewhere. Here we go. So I can just do something like see color testing. So if I surround this, my reference is still going inside. So now I should still be able to reference the stuff inside. Oh, or not. Oh, wait, maybe not, because I think something else might iterate over these and just break if I do this. Can't read properties, huh? Although, this is really something that should be possible. Creating a pen child, render part, render cell with edge, update prop for each. Oh, 295. Query select target append child part. Sudoku, cell colors, ID color testing. Why would that not work? All right, this is a little of a sidetrack, but I'd like to get this sorted out. If I do this until it blows up. Query selector null, cell color selector, SVG, hashtag cell colors. Color testing. Oh. I think there's a clear process that clears things inside other things. All right. It'll work if I add it afterwards. So I need to DOM create element around element. Curate a method to wrap content in a div. Can I just modify auto element to wrap existing element? Okay. I'm just going to do this quickly. So we're going to grab the color thing, right? So we do query selector hash cell dash colors. Let const cell colors lm. All right. Then we're going to do cell colors lm dot insert adjacent before begin. Insert adjacent. And we're going to do const wrapper wrap lm. Insert adjacent before begin. And I'm just going to do a gid equals test wrapper. Like that. And if I do that and get rid of these, I should be able to, yeah, so I have a test wrapper here. And now I can just child it to that afterwards. And then I can just say, all right, console log. And that will then add append. Just append or append child? I never know. Cell colors element. So if I do this, will all these still work? No. Undefined reading append. Append child. Cannot read properties of undefined. Reading append wrap element. Undefined. So insert adjacent element. Okay. Well, guess we're just gonna have to reselect that. Wrap element, test wrapper, and now wrap element, test wrapper, which had a child a moment ago. Can read properties of null, reading pen child. All right, so this is happening too early. So we're just gonna run this. We're just gonna, can I get a scrap space here? We're just gonna run this later manually. And that should be good enough, right? Do this. By the way, thanks to Chipcell for letting me use her music. Super appreciate it. I was running into copyright strikes left, right, and center, and Chipcell gave me the A-OK to do it. All right, and I think that's all I need. So if I now run it, did I not? Oh, I might have not saved it. Yeah. So now I can run this. So now we have the test wrapper around cell colors. Cell colors itself, the colors are currently opacified to 0. So now we need to adjust the styling, obviously, accordingly. So we want hash test wrapper. So only if it's inside test wrapper. And otherwise, we want it to be 1. Does that work now? Because the use should be pulling it out. Doesn't look like it's working just yet. So if I go in here now, this has opacity 1. Dot cell color opacity 1. But this is, oh, because I haven't run the code. All right. We're still good. Now it's both are gone. God damn it. All right, so that didn't work. At least not as I was hoping. So we have this inside the test wrapper. Test wrapper opacity 0. Okay. But this is not inside the test wrapper. And it's only referencing the thing on the inside. So why would that still be opacity 0? It's still... Alright, let me split this in 2 parts. Let me do the use thing first. So what we want is this. We're just going to replicate the cell colors thing. Because maybe it clones the state as it is at the time. If I do this, I'm going to run this code. So that should have now created a duplication of that layer here with full colors. And now, if I get rid of these, I now take the original one and put it inside test wrapper. Okay. Which did not work. Oh, wait. What did I just delete? Oh. I delete that. No, let's just do this again. Okay, so that created the clone of that layer. Let's confirm. Okay, we have that clone. And now we're going to create the wrapper and add the color layer inside the wrapper without cloning it again. And that somehow applies the styles. Now, if I change the wording here, both are back. God damn it. So what if I do something like transform, translate 500 0, like that, right? Moves it over there, and then this I do x equals -500. That goes over there. That goes over there. That goes over there. Okay, if I do translate by 100. Ah, wait, we still have the other... We still... Let's just change that. Ah. If I move this 500 to the right, and then bring it back here. Or I can just take this off screen altogether, and this doesn't care because it's not cloning the parent. All right, perfect. So maybe if I applied the styling here, so if I said something like, let's just test this quickly. So if I bring this back, and then I said style equals opacity 0. Yeah, so that would also work. Okay. So that's the style had to be on this, not reference something on the inside. Okay, all right. So now this is 100% underneath, and that's the full true color that it's supposed to be. And now the question is, if I change this, does the color change? It does not. That's basically that's the effect that we want. Now the question is, can I put this just raw into our base HTML like this? Because the clear, I think it might wipe everything that's not a G whatever. Or maybe not. And the question now is, the opacity of this is not... Wait, why did I do all of this, right? I did all of this to test if I can change the opacity, right? So if I do this, opacity test wrapper is 0. But not this. We refresh this now. And then I do the test wrapper injection. I don't need this part now. Yeah. So the reason that color showed like that is because we had two rendered on top of each other. But the stuff that's in the use layer is still... Because this is invisible right now. Yeah. And this is still transparent. So what I really need to do is I need to change this. The problem is, if I can't use inheritance, and the opacity is... no. Because the opacity applies to things inside of the colors layer right now. But I could apply it to the main layer. So instead of applying it to the cells directly, I could apply it to this layer thing, right? So now if I look at cell colors, opacity is this. And if I change the opacity here, opacity 1. Because like I was thinking, if I do use, and let's make this ID cell colors BG, right? So could I do, if I do hashtag cell colors BG G pass it, because I can't reference an ID twice, right? So that's kind of also a little bit of a gotcha. So now the question is, which one gets applied, right? So cell colors is opacity this. And this, I don't know if this is a different opacity right now. X equals minus 100. Can I just shift a little bit to... Yeah, it looks like these are the lighter colors. Let's go on the Y so I can maybe see the... This is supposed to be black if I If I recall, this is supposed to be a full-on color 3 is supposed to be a full-on black. So the only way to do this is if we wrap the entire color layer inside a second wrapper and then only reference the inner one. Or we do kind of some overload thing, but I don't know if that's reliable. Like, it looks like this might work. Because I know that it works for the colors themselves. So if I do y equals minus 64. I don't know. Background magenta. Yeah, these look still transparent. Man, why does this is this so hard to control? When the inheritance fails. So we are currently trying to bring the opacity up, but inheritance doesn't work. Color is BG, right? This is right. This is G. This is a G inside. Because I don't even know if CSS inheritance inside shadow root. How does that work? Nope. Like, is that even working? So the reason I couldn't just wrap the G element, the group element directly, is because I think there's a clear process which just finds all the top level G elements and then empties them out. And let's find where that is. Clear, probably in here somewhere. Clear layer, clear all layers. SVG, yeah, it does this, right? I mean, we could just do something in here. So if I do this, cell colors. Cell colors. So if I do this, and then just have this inside, like that, and then here we'll just do so if I just do this dot get lm dot query selector, this is actually a ID now dot insert adjacent. What's it called? Insert adjacent something something HTML. Right, and after begin, right? There's before begin, there's after begin, and the HTML element is literally just this thing. And that just restores this structure on each clear. So now we should have this thing parented inside a second G, which is here, and the use only references the inner one. Now the problem is, if I actually manipulate the color with inheritance, that inheritance will be duplicated. So we actually need to change it from here. So we basically need to change the opacities from parent cell colors and then do nothing else, basically. And we don't need the colors BG ID on the use anyways. This should be all we need. And now the question is, if I go here, parent cell colors, opacity 0. You see, now I think the whole thing just, yeah. So you see the top layer disappears. The bottom layer is full color. Except, if I remove this, it should just revert to my styling here, unless I did the parent cell colors. The nomenclature is not good here. Cell colors wrapper. I think that's more standard, more understandable, and something I'll remember in the future. So if I do this, and this is bad, and then in the cell colors wrapper, I set the opacity. Okay, so now the opacity should be here somewhere. Except it's not. Cell colors, because there's a colon here, that shouldn't be there. All right, so now cell colors wrapper here has an opacity set. Yeah, so we can see if I change this here, it changes the visibility of the elements in between. And I can now change this to a low level if I want to. And it changes how much the things on top are tainted by it, right? But we can still put things like there's the color still behind as well at the same time. So I almost need an example puzzle now that has more stuff going on. So for example, we take a puzzle with colors, because I think that was one of the reasons originally we had to do the colors a certain way, right? If I do this, yeah, so this was kind of one of the reasons why the top layer was transparent. The thing is, this layer itself is transparent, so if the background is too colored, it kind of messes with this layer as well. So you have all these knock-on effects. So this is the underlay. Now here, underlay doesn't have opacity on the elements directly. It has fill opacity. Yeah, so then the question is, do we want to change fill opacity on these things and then do a full opacity element on the underlay, or change the fill opacity, right? I don't know if we can actually force that. So if I do something like underlay anything, fill opacity 1 important. I don't know if I can even override these properties on the element. Yeah, it looks like I can, because they definitely look different now. But you see, if it's that powerful, I mean, the colors should get adjusted then. Yeah, that's when people tell me, oh, you know, the colors are too faint or they're too pastel. Well, they're not pastel, they're just transparent to white. I don't think they realize how the colors interact with each other in multiple layers. So this we definitely don't want. We definitely don't want to okay, so we definitely don't want 0.3. Maybe we want to go back to the 0.6 on the top. But now maybe we can do, instead of going to a 1, because cell colors, so instead of going to a 1 here, maybe this could be a 0.9. That's what's underneath, right? The problem is now we have multiple shades, right? So we have a red here, if I draw these, paint these two in our default red, we end up with this. Now, if this is the same transparency, it's still gonna be different because there's two of them, right? And if it's 0, wait. If I do SVG use opacity 0. I don't think if the SVG does the use element doesn't actually accept transparency, I believe. Get rid of that. So if I make something green here, it looks like this. If I make this green, it looks slightly darker. And what did this used to look like? I mean, what does it look like right now, basically? So if I make these two green and these two red, it's not too dissimilar. Yeah, it's a tricky one. So I have the possibility of doing that, but I'm realizing that that's probably not what we want. So I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm gonna go back to how it was. These are some radical changes. It's something to keep in mind though, because in general, there's a couple of places where we definitely want to replicate elements into two layers. So for example, for the thermos, especially if those two layers can have different levels of opacity. And I've never thought of using these reference stuff. And I'd have to do some performance testing to make sure that they don't... you know what, I don't need to save that. That this doesn't kind of destroy performance in some weird way, you know? So this is where we end up doing that. If we go now to 0.6, 0.6, and we don't have the color wrapper here, we just have cell colors, and it's just that. And it's not applying it directly to the individual elements, which I don't know if that is a performance improvement or not. I mean, we could modify it over here, because even though the colors are perfect matches for these, they're in a different context, right? So the purple border makes them look quite different, and like these are hard to distinguish, while here, not that hard to distinguish, right? I mean, one of the problems is also that we can't do very dark colors if they're transparent to white. Like this is now... I mean, it still mixes, right? It's still a bit of a mess. Yeah, I'm gonna need some feedback from you guys for that. I'm gonna need some feedback. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to actually do a video about this. Like prepare some specific examples of like swatches of what it could look like, what the problem is. You know, because the underlay colors are a thing, they're just not super common. Oh yeah, somebody mentioned that the hide colors doesn't work anymore. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Because I've been changing things, and I don't know exactly how hide colors does the color hiding. And it was before I implemented these things as a separate feature. So if I just search for hide colors like that, will I find it? No. hide colors is off. If I switch it on, it'll put a class on the body, and if I search for that class, hide, where is it? Hide colors. Hide colors with a U. If I search for hide colors, where is that implemented? In the style sheet. So underlay, hide colors background, image opacity, 0. Setting hide color background image. Okay, that's the image. Underlay, not rounded true fill opacity, 0. Not rounded equals true. So this looks at rect elements in a certain place. Underlay and overlay. So these would be an underlay. They are rects. And I think it might be the width height being 0.0. So if I change this to .0 and that to .0, is that, no, so that's not it. What else am I? Rounded, not rounded equals true. Okay. Not fill. So not black ones. Okay, it's ignoring the black ones. And so why does this not apply to these guys, right? So we are setting hide colors, unless I changed, wait, did I? Oh. Okay. So it's really this. All right. Do I want to change this to 0.0 or should I get rid of 0.0 when rounding? Because I think I was a bit lazy on the rounding. Render part, because I'm somewhere automatically rounding here, and I'm using two fixed. Rounded attributes digits. If I parse float this, basically I'm skipping a parse float here. So there's multiple things I can do. Is I can just string operate trim the stuff. I could parse float it again, just adds a little bit of processing. Or instead of using to fixed, I could, 10 to the power of rounded digits. So that gets me a 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. And then do a divide, so for 1 digits, we divide by 10, multiply by rounded, multiply by 10, rounded, divide by 10. I think that's actually going to be worse. So if I do a parse float, and then it's going to get turned straight back to a string anyways, but that's okay. And now, yeah, so now that should work again. And I don't remember if I just disabled it again. So we're looking at underlay. Okay, they're straight up 64, 64. Hide colors off again. All right, so that works again. All right, so that fixes the hide color. Now the thing is, that fix should really be on the main branch. So I think what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna save the stuff I've done, clean it up first though. So this test thingamajig here we don't need. That's fine. Don't need you anymore. That's fine. No, that's not fine. I'm gonna put that in here. I'm gonna put it on the current beta branch. So I think I'm gonna stick with 0.6. I was gonna go 0.7, but I think, or shall we try 0.7? We can try 0.7. I need to see my keyboard to type, apparently. Let me just check the other chats. Anybody in here? Oh, no. All right. Twitch up and running here. Okey-dokey. Oh, wait, that's the online version. So we want to go back here. refresh, make sure that's still working. What else did I want to clean up? I'm seeing some commented stuff, but I don't think that's from this change. So we updated, added the outlines, changed the opacity just a little bit. That's fine for now. That's fine for now. Yeah, it's funny because they're matching these, but that's not an, it's kind of visual perception thing. For now, that's fine. So I'm just going to do that. So tweak color, tweak button color rendering. A little bit vague. Now this one I'm gonna keep. I'm just gonna keep a copy of this as a reference to remind myself, and then we're gonna just revert that. All right, and then we're going to go back to the main branch. Oh, let's just get rid of that. Make sure we're all clean. What's it doing? There's nothing wrong with my index. All right, we're just, all right. All right, so we're going back here. Let's close all these because they don't even exist here. I should have closed them before. I always make that mistake. Always close them to make sure you have it saved, because after you change branches, they just don't exist, which makes it very hard to determine. So this, let's confirm first. Did I save this just now? I think I saved it. All right, so hide colors. Won't do anything here. Hide colors. Why is the settings dialog so big? There we go. So hide colors, where are you? Let's do this. Yeah, so that works. If I do this, refresh. Now hide colors works again. And I don't think it currently works online. I think it works here actually. On SudokuPad.app it should work. Hide colors, yeah. But on beta, it might not. So if I hide colors here, yeah, whoa, it does work. So is it only broken? Wait a second, how does it work here? I thought it would be, you know, just broken. So it's broken on alpha. Okay, so it isn't broken here. Did I really just One second. I'm pretty sure this is already on beta. So if we're looking at, well, script.js, right? At least it's not all the way at the bottom. So this is render part for each key, to fixed, and rounded attribute digits should be 1. Rounded attribute digits. Rounded attribute digits. Rounded attribute is 1. How does it not round it 2.0 then? I feel like it should be 0.0, 64.0 instead of 64. That's kind of odd, actually. It's a width and a height, right? Width and height. I'm pretty sure width and height are part of the round. Yeah, X, Y, width, height are what should get rounded. And somehow it doesn't round them. And these are definitely underlay elements. Hide colors. Huh. Wait a second. This is basically the version that I have here right now. It does work. God damn it. Oh, no, wait, but here I put the parse float in. If I do this, it still works. Okay, the only way I can imagine this working properly is that the number... So if I say 64, 2 fixed, 1... No, it does return 64.0. So the question is, why does that work when it shouldn't? And somebody has I mean, the only reason I'm looking into it is because somebody reported it, right? Width, height, 64, 64. Oh, because this was also broken. So if oh, because it was broken, so it was never doing the rounding that it's supposed to be doing. And then once you fix that, then it's broken. But then this would fix it, right? And now that works again, and I'm guessing the rest is the same. And I put that little fix in there. Is attribute valid. Okay. Val equals number. Make sure these are the same now. Yes. So it's fixed in... It's broken in just enough ways to not be broken in the end. Okay. Alright. That makes sense in some way. Alright. That's worthy of a patch update. We're gonna bump the patch here. Yay. And then through this patch, it's gonna make it into the color branch eventually. Patched. Attribute rounding. Patched SVG attribute rounding. Fixed. Word patched here is a bit awkward. Alright. And we'll do a update puzzles as well. And then we can finally start with the subject of today's code hangout, which is import and export of the color data. Because I want you guys to make color palettes. So then when you get mad at the color palettes, you're not mad at me. And to be able to do that, you need to be able to import and export, right? Let's just deploy these and deploy beta. Reminds me that I still haven't finished the server move as well. The colors here are a bit odd. There's something wrong. Oh, because I accidentally switched it. Yeah, dashed grid looks a bit weird. And here all the blacks because it doesn't recognize the colors. It's not the greatest bad failing. Well, it's not the worst either. Why is it black specifically? I think it probably puts undefined in the color or something like that. The color B, I'm guessing color B would be like undefined, right? Or it just wouldn't exist. Color, interest. Wait a second. Color B. Oh, maybe it's just the default color, huh? We could make the default color transparent. Then it would fail more safely. Or make it like a light gray, right? So if I do something like style, SudokuPad colors, cell given cell input style. If I do cell colors, color All right, there's nothing here. Let's search for it here. There's nothing here either. Okay, so if I do something like puzzle chrome, if I do the dot cell color path, and maybe even go one step further. No, don't want to make the selection too specific because then it'll be a pain in the ass to fix later. If we do hashtag cell colors path without the class, no. We just do dot cell color. The problem is right now, if I give, because the color comes from this, if I give this a color, I don't know if this will overwrite that color. And I don't know how I make it less specific. Because I don't want to make a default color to all paths, right? I don't know, man. Let me see. If I find SVG path default color. Current count SVGs, fills and strokes. Can I change the fill? If I do something like SVG path fill RGB8, or just we want a medium everything, right? So what's in the middle? 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. Something like that. But then, yeah. So what? Wait a second. So why would those be black? So why would these be black and the other things would not? Computed. Fill 8888. And if I get rid of that, boom, and go back to color to fill, where does this come from? Is it just the default? Because obviously other paths here were also filled with gray instead of the color that they had. Including on other layers, I'm pretty sure. So if I do this, right, and I select something, is that selection also gonna be filled with gray? Because the selection defines its own color, right? So this one now has fill here, but it looks gray. Now it could be because there's something else on top that's gray. And it gives overlay. Is it the grid itself? Fill none. Okay. Fill none. Fill. It's these guys. They have a fill none, but why does the fill none get overridden by this thing? All right, I'd have to kind of select for things that don't have a path. Yeah, this is gonna happen. Let's just hope that we're gonna move forward with the new color tool and not move backwards, I guess. All right, we can switch back to the tool. I hope we're not gonna have too many merge conflicts when we eventually want to go back into the main, into master. All right, we should get our colors back. All right, so import export. Now, I don't like adding a lot of complex UI. I don't want to add buttons here. We're already overloading functionality. So I'm going to see if I can, it's probably going to be via here, right? And I don't know if it's going to be adding, maybe it's worthwhile adding a group here or something under advanced. And this might go not under, yeah, okay. Let's see how hard it would be to add a new settings group here. And I think I should be able to add it directly from the tool file as well. So tool color. So for example, this settings buttons, new f-puzzles solution, find it. So that's here, and it looks like that. So I should be able to add a group. The question is, can I insert a group at a place of my choosing? So, framework. Add group. Add group, add groups. Setting groups dot push. So it doesn't really do anything. It just modifies this array. So if we look at this array, it looks like this. Do we want to put it below advanced, or do we want to put it above advanced? What? Because I think there's going to be value in having generally a group for like import export, and it might even be below advanced, I'm guessing. It's probably not super important right now to settle it, and it's probably something like famous last words. Hopefully something I can sort out in the future. Let's put it in here. Do you want to put it there or here? Probably here. And maybe not even here. Maybe in... Did we have an init? Init. We probably can put it here. And we're just gonna add the group like these. Something like this. It's gonna be called... import export. Because file, I mean, traditionally these kind of menus are called file, right? Can I not get a file menu anymore on the Chrome? No file menu. Because if I'm saving something, right? More tools. New tab. Edit. Like, I know I can press Control S to save this page. But there's no hold space. New tab. Import export. In the future, I think import export makes sense. Let me just look at something like Photop, because Photop is a web. We have a file menu. Does it make sense to call it a file menu? I don't like it because it's a website and people are not used to dealing with files in a website anyways. So I'm more inclined to call it import export or something and deal with that language. So let's call it import export label import / export, right? And that should now appear here somewhere. No. And no. It does exist. Maybe it doesn't show it unless there's something actually in it. All right. So let's do add settings next. And which setting did I want to look at? Yes, the create solutions link, because that actually adds a button, which is I think what we kind of want. So we have group import export, we have a name, and we have a content, we have a handler, we have a bunch of styling, and we probably want to do 2 of these. So export colors, content, export current colors, handle, export colors. Don't know if the styling is gonna be kind of to stay. All right. And let's see if that works. Nope. Probably gotta do that. Nope. And this. Hey, Joato. Joe? You pronounce the H in your name? Jov? Hato. I'm not sure. Jovato. There's probably, it's probably not an English pronunciation, right? How are you doing? Oops, wrong button. I feel like that button should be further away, maybe over here, next to the restart button. Yeah, I feel like this button should be here, and the instructions should be next to settings. I don't know why this one is next to settings, actually. Probably not the right time to change that. Should I leave it alone? But I'll make a note of it. Yeah, I shouldn't do this right now. My brain is just going all over the place. To do 1 move full screen to left off restart button. So by writing it down, hopefully my brain will leave me alone. No, it doesn't get saved. Settings, advanced, import export. Import export is at the top now. That's not what I expected. I expected it to be at the bottom. Add group push. Add group push. The groups are currently being added by, in this order, add groups plural. That's for each add group. That doesn't make any sense. Why does it go to the top? It gets pushed. It gets pushed. How does it end up at the top? Oh no, because it's happening before all this other stuff. Ah, god damn it. Let's just move that group adding into this area here. Makes more sense. And then we can put it above advanced as well if we want to. Although I kind of made my peace with it being below advanced. So now there should be import. It's probably being... Wait, what? Yes, okay. So now we have it here. Boom. And export colors. Okay. And that button looks the same as this one. Now, what does this styling? Margin, padding. This feels like that should just be styled into the global style sheet. There's a weird spacing that's slightly wider at the bottom, but I think that's because the group itself has its own extra padding at the bottom. 0.5 RM. Do we want that extra padding at the bottom? Don't know if we do, actually. 257 style. Yeah, I don't like that. 257. Extra padding at the bottom. If we get rid of it, does that make things too crowded? No, not really. No, that seems fine. That seems fine. And it's a small enough change, I don't care that it's in here. Or we put it on the to-do item. Yeah, adjust settings, groups, padding. 20 in, boom. And then here, I'm just gonna undo this. And we don't have this in our diff, and we don't have to worry about this. All right. Because it's not important to what we're doing right now, and I need to focus. So, we need a second button. We need a... we'll do this like this, so we don't end up with too many lines. How many hours is the stream now? Because this feels like I'm repeating already on the music. No, we're just halfway through the thing. Does it have... Maybe it has different versions of the same song. Alright, at least I'm getting the chats through. From Twitch, that is. And this probably doesn't update. Alright, so we now have an import button. Handle. Import colors. And basically all we're going to do is import new colors. So we go here. Oh, we could have them side by side. Don't know if I really wanted that. But I don't know why it does that actually, because these aren't side by side. So these are like that. And then these are group items. They're not inside settings items. I could do a thing with a label like a box and put them both inside of that. I'm just realizing these are just standard forms. No, wait a second. Why do these not have the same wrappers as these other guys? Tag, toggle, tag, button. But they're not wrapped into a settings item. In the advanced group, this is added. So we have a button down here. Oh no, it's just also added like that. Oh. If I take this button here, display block. Okay, I think that's worth it. Just to keep things a little, because I don't really have a lot of control of their width and how big the dialogue is gonna be on different devices. So this feels just a little safer. We might also, we probably don't need two separate buttons, right? We're just gonna pop up a dialogue. So we're gonna have import, export, colors, import, export, color, palette. And then we just do handle, import, export, colors. And then that's just gonna be up here. And then just, we'll pop up a dialog and we'll sort it out there, right? All right, so the way to do that would be closing the settings dialog, which, close settings, save settings, show settings. How do we close settings? I think it might just be framework.close dialog. Yeah. So we probably can just show a new dialog. And I haven't done that in so long. I'm gonna look up exactly what the syntax is. I should document my things. So we have a list of parts. Let me just go here. We have a list of parts and a bunch of handlers. Boom. Let's see. Let us see. Title. Yeah, let's not worry about that so for right now. Import, export, color. Don't need overlay blur. Sent overboard true. Don't really matters. Open this one. Show dialogue. Is that not gonna do the trick? Do we have to do close dialog first? Open, click. Okay, so if we close it first, it lets us open another one. Let's get rid of the icons. So the idea here is to keep it simple, is to have some kind of text area, basically, that just contains the JSON output, or a JSON version of the thing, of the what's the word? Of the color definition in some sort of shape or form. So width 100%, margin 0.5 rem, width calc 100% minus 1 rem. No, I cannot do a calc with. Oh, that works. Wow, okay, that's weird. And height. Oh, height. Yeah, but 10 rem, something like that. Rows and columns, I'm not sure. So let's grab these. I don't think I can grab them like that. Maybe? Maybe? No, not exactly. Yeah, not too bad. All right. Now, content. I think this might work. Is this gonna go inside the tag? I'm not sure, actually. I don't know. It looks like it does. Okay. So the content here would be... Okay, first of all, we need to figure out a format for the colors, because right now we have the listing of the pages, but those are just symbols. And then the colors themselves aren't actually defined anywhere here. So we have to extract them from the style sheet, which I've done before. And I think any evidence of doing it, I've erased. Oh. Ah, no, we have the multipilot file still sitting around somewhere. So I guess the next stop is to actually, don't need this, is to actually put the color palette together in a format that's helpful to us. So we did this. And we wanted to find a specific style shield file amongst these. Oh no. Yeah, this is not it. Style sheets, find style sheets. So if I do this, it's just gonna throw an area at me, right? And then one of these is going to be our tool color thingy. So href matches tool dash color. Now, I'm not super sure if I like this. Am I back? Man, that's stressful. So OBS won't let me change the stream key for an arbitrary amount of time after I stop the stream. So I couldn't change it to the YouTube stream to reconnect. And then YouTube threatens to shut the stream down before I can reconnect. Man, these systems are a huge pain in my backside. All right, it looks smoother to me now. So I hope Oh, the resolution just dropped. What the heck? I'm streaming here at like no drop frames. It's 30 FPS, 1080p. The quality on my YouTube stream is horrific. Ah, okay, the quality is just supposed to set. All right. I'm gonna set it to 720p because I don't want to use up all the bandwidth. All right. Thanks for letting me know. Time and Tide for Neyman Bide. It's a long name. Thanks for letting me know. We wanted to output this count value to see how many CSS rules we're gonna loop through before I start doing something silly while doing that. All right, 475. That is doable. So our regular expression is gonna have this thing in there. And we're gonna do something like CSS rule, no, CSS rules, CR, and we're actually gonna do this. Let the CSS rule. Boom. Yeah, these probably shouldn't be consts. And then CSS rule dot match. Let's see what that looks like. This could be disastrous, or it could be CSS rule. Oh yeah, we have to actually pick the property we're going to look at. So I guess we have to look at the CSS text. There was that map that I wanted to check out, but maybe we can use this at least to narrow it down. Okay, so we're going to do this. If it's not equal to null. And now we're going to output this. Sure. We're also going to output the raw thing. Like that. Okay. And then what I wanted to look at is the style map. So, dot style map. I also wanted to look at selectors. So CSS style declaration, what exactly is that? Because it had, so CSS style declaration interface represents an object that is a CSS declaration block. It exposes style information, various style related methods, properties. Attributes, CSS text, texture representation, length, parent rule. So I'm guessing that is going to be a, what's the word? Iterator. So we have the style map and then the declaration, which was under style. So I'm gonna try doing this. Is it just gonna be basic and array? Attributes, CSS style. Methods of change the inline style. If you want to text reserve comment, business string file length, parent rule, properties, CSS float. Get property, get property item, remove property. Maybe that won't work. But let's try json.stringify. And maybe that's all. Maybe I could use that for the import export. I doubt it. I seriously doubt that. God damn it, I keep hitting that other button. I really need to change that. So, this is a piece of a large piece of text. Why is it so big? Oh, that's the JSON representation, huh? That looks just like a hash map. All right, that doesn't look too interesting. So, style property map. The style property map. Style property map might be iterable. And the style thingamajig here, it's got to get property, returns the optional property important. Get property value, given a property name. Property name. Because it's weird, because obviously it's a block that has multiple items in them. Item returns CSS property name by its index, but the empty string if the index is out of bounds. Dot item 0. Let's just see what one of these items looks like. Get property CSS value. What are we supposed to use instead? Don't know. Don't know. Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable of dealing with CSS that deeply because it is not super reliable potentially across browsers. So what are these things? CSS unparsed value. Ooh. This is really good. This is kind of what I want, right? This is what I want. So style map does map to an array. So we can do this, and then we go map. And then we get an array with a key. Val air. Another array, which is going to have a val in it. And then we're just going to return a key val. And there is a way of turning an array to an object. Array to object. Actually, you know what? You don't even need that. We don't even need that. We can just, you know, we could just do this, right? Selector, and then val, and then that's it. And then we return that whole thing. Oh, he's getting drippy drops. He's looking so. He's made his peace with it, eh? He used to be a lot more unhappy about the process. My dog is getting his anti-flea meds on his back. We've got the CSS unparsed value. Now the question is, what can I do with a CSS unparsed value? CSS unparsed value. Experimental. Because this list of string fragments and variable references. That's a number of items. This is image value, keyword value, numeric value, position value, transform value. I think in this case, I can just treat it as an array and just get an element out of it. Unless there's entries for each key's values. Length. This is an object. So values. So val dot values. Right. And then just get the first one out of that array. Like that. Style map. Array interact. Oh man. Can I just do this? Treat it as an array. Straight up. Over here. All right. It does have the initial spaces in there. An unparsed value. So that's just the string between the colon and the semicolon, I guess. Do we have trim in JavaScript? Trim. All right. I guess we have trim. I didn't know that. And let's get rid of some of the other ones so we don't waste too much time. Right. Now, we can either do this, or since we've already parsed it, we could just look at that thing, right? We can do let m equal, hold on to the match, stick that in there. 1 second, guys. Dogo is on his way out. Had a thought, by the way. Would it been easy to create a color wheel and then let them set 2-3 pages of colors they want to use? That's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. There's 3 pages, and they can choose what colors they want to use. All right, so that's an M. Let's have a look. So the M is that, right? So the M is this. Why do we get R's there? Oh, because we can do this and this. And if I make it non-greedy, it'll give me 1 character, right? Unless I tell it we need a... I think we can expect a semicolon at the end. And we don't want a closing brace either. And then here we either have a semicolon or a closing brace. And this should be white space. So that should trim out the white space from each color item, I think. So this is what I've pulled out, right? That looks good. And then if I apply this to each of these matches, so the M is just an array. So if I then map this, and then do match this. Now the G flag here might be the problem. Yeah, that's annoying. So I need one of these with the G flag and one of these without the G flag. Is there no way of overriding the global flag? JavaScript regex override global flag. Why does the G flag? Well, right now I don't want to think about how to do this properly. I just want to do it quickly, so I can see if I get the result that I want. So is this gonna give me? That's the style map, and this is from the regular expressions. 0 transparent, 1 RGB. So that turns it into an array with those color references already. How do we take out... Basically, we want to destructure this, right? So we want to do... something like this. Key color equals... And then we can just do return key color. And that should get us this. We don't have semicolons here. We have those weird transparents in there. And that gets us very close to the same thing. The thing with this is using some APIs that I don't know how well they supported are. And this is just looking at the strings, which is what it is, right? So now the question becomes, how do we make sure we have the latest colors set, right? So I'm just gonna do const colors equals an object, And then here, I'm actually just going to do colors key equals color. So this means if we encounter the same thing more than once, it would take the last one for the purposes of this export process. Now this might not be exactly what we want, but for now, that seems to be quite appropriate. Okay. So then at the end, we just output the colors and we don't have all this other stuff here. And we can clean up that code later. Count plus plus. Oh, nope. Go away. Oop, I got a chat on the Discord. Oh, okay, Virtual's asked something. I am streaming right now. So these are all the colors we're finding. So 0 through T. Now, we need two things. We need the colors and how the colors are distributed into the pages. So we need this. And then maybe a name. I'm not currently managing multiple palettes, so I don't want to have like a menu where you have 10 palettes and you pick one. You can just import a palette, right? In the future, we might want to do this. So maybe in the moment, I'm just not gonna do, like, I'm just gonna ignore that. So we just have colors and pages. So palette is an object that has colors, and the pages come from whatever current palette you have. So, color, tool, color, dot, tool, dot, palette, and then we have that here, right? So colors and pages is this dot palette dot pages, and we're just gonna clone that like this, right? All right, and this is basically what we're going to use for the export, I guess. That's not the button. That still isn't the button. All right, so that gets us a list of colors and a list of pages. Now the transparency in here is a bit odd, but ultimately my system shouldn't care. Those are just CSS style definitions, right? And if somebody puts in broken styles, I'll deal with it currently. So we should be able to do this then. Wait, do I want to stringify this naively, i.e. just using JSON to stringify, or sort of semi-efficient? Because what I can do is I can do it a single line string, it'll be a mess. I can do it indented and it'll be really tall, or I can do it sort of kind of 10 of these in a row, like kind of manually clean it up a little bit. For now, maybe we'll just do this and see what it looks like. It's not too bad. It's worse on the smaller window, but it's not too bad. All right, and then we can do little things like copying into the clipboard, etc., etc., etc. Should I have two boxes, one for import, one for export? I don't know. So if I do something like that, if I do label, what does that look like? Yeah, good enough. We probably want to change the spacing around that. And that's margins. Margin bottom 0. Yeah, it's enough. And so the other option is to add a second thing for people to paste into, or just expect them to clear this and then paste a new palette in there. Of course I only need one window, but I feel a second empty window might make it easier to avoid mistakes with not erasing the palette and not accidentally wiping out your colors and that sort of thing. So, export current palette, import new palette. Probably they don't need to be quite as big, because you're not really meant to read anything in them. And we could put the buttons underneath each of these here instead of doing these options things. Options just does a little bit of magic for me. Mostly it does a bunch of formatting. So if I do something like dialog options. Actually, I don't know. Can I do more than one options block? Let's find out. I don't know. I've never tried it. If I do this, whoop, not that. If I do this, and then just clone that, to be honest. Export. Now export, obviously, what does that mean, right? So I'm probably gonna do like a, hey Blobs, how are you doing? Maybe I'll do a copy to clipboard kind of thing. Yeah, that works. Can export, can import. All right, so two things. Export can export to file, and these are obviously exactly reversed. So we're exporting the existing one and importing a new one. All right, so on cancel, we don't need to do anything. On button, we'll do const handle dialog button. Button. Oh, come on. All right, that didn't really work. So we can put that in here. And so we definitely have to do some validation. I don't want people to screw up their stuff because I didn't do my validation properly, and I can't expect people to magically know how everything is going to work. So export should do two currently well, it could do two things. It could be copied into clipboard, which I'm already doing. So let's just find out how we're currently doing it. We're doing it for the time. So clipboard copy, clipboard copy element, click, time string copy to the clipboard, write text, navigation time string, clipboard copy element, parent copy, query selector scope, A, all by diff, for each element remove, clear existing messages, clipboard copy element, hashtag clipboard copy. What? Insert adjacent after and diff time copy. Oh, because of the messages. All right. Okay, so maybe this is the only thing I actually need to do. Navigator, keyboard layout, keyboard. And that's it. So maybe this is all I need to do. Maybe that'll just work. All right. So if I press this, it'll say export. Okay, export. Navigator, write text. Const palette data. Oh, no. This. Do this. Do this. Put that there. Put that there. Now if I do this, go here, press that, press export, go here, paste. All right, there it is. We probably want a second dialog to confirm then. We've done confirmation dialogues before, no worries. Close that. Where have I done confirmation dialogues before? If I press this, no. This, back, this, confirm restart. Find, confirm, restart. Did you get the last updates that I sent for your links, blobs? Confirm restart, handle canceling option. Restart puzzle. So here, are you? No, this doesn't give me a second confirmation. So all I really would have to do is just pop up another dialogue here, like a simple one. So if I do something like this, title, like this, title, is there palette data copied, palette export, and then we'll do something like your palette, your current color palette has been copied to the clipboard. I think that's all I really can say. And then this is just gonna be okay. Style display grid. No. And that just goes like that. That just goes there. And then I don't think I have to do anything else. So if we do this, I go here, I do this, I do export. Do I have to do this first to make the show dialog work? I might have to put a set interval there. If I do set timeout, do something like that, and then 100 milliseconds should be enough. I played that last one, enjoyed it. I tried to play test them, but man, those Pintomino ones are beyond me for now. Your culprit has been copied to the clipboard. Okay, and then I can add some instructions. Clipboard. Please paste it into a message or email and send it to your target intended recipient. So boom, boom, export. Your culprit has been copied to the clipboard. Please paste it into a message or email and send it to your intended recipient. All right, so that's good enough for the sending. Boom. And now for the importing, we need to validate the data. So import. Great. Problem with the import is I don't know if at that point the dialog still exists. Can be a problem. So let's see if we get any text areas when we press the import button. Go here, open that, press import. We get 2 text areas. All right, so I can work with this. ID equals, I believe that's how I can do it. Palette import. And I don't think I need palette export at all. So now, okay, so we can do const import data equals dot text content. And what's this? So import data empty, of course. Export, okay. Control V, import data empty. Query selector, text area, hash, palette, import. I have a feeling the ID is not assigned. Text area, palette, import. Text area, palette, import. Text content, creation, data. Okay. So go here, go there, press import. Text area, import data, dot text content, dot inner HTML, DOM element, text content. I thought text content was the way to get a string from the inside. Are easily confused, but there are different and important ways. Text content gets the content of all elements, including script and style. Text content returns every element node. Inner text or styling won't return the text of hidden elements. Inner text CSS. Is it value? Is it value? It could be value. It could be value. It is value. Ah, man. I always forget that. It looks like it should be text content, but you know. Yeah. One thing I like to do with my own site is to kind of let people like tag puzzles and kind of, in a way, kind of like, hey, you know, if you're into those kind of puzzles, here's more puzzles like that. You know, not just because it could be, you know, not every puzzle is for everyone, right? The trick is to find the audience for each puzzle. So that's just how it goes. So dot value is the import data. And how do we validate this? So we gotta validate it, right? So must validate palette data. So validate palette data. So first we gotta chase stringify it, right? So try catch. Come on. Return false. Console.error error in. Oh. So step 1. If JSON dot we need colors and titles, right? So if JSON colors equals undefined. Actually, if do we expect arrays here? If not, if type of is not equal object, return false. If type of JSON dot pages is not equal array, return false. And I'm gonna log these out as well because I might be wrong about a few things here. Okay, try this again. Boom, import pages, boom. Import data pages, syntax error, pages not valid JSON. Fair enough. Import color palette, export, paste, import. JSON pages object. Yeah, I thought so. So we're gonna have to do the whole array is array thing. Array dot is array. If not array is array, return false. All right, what else do we need to check? We need to check that every page, every color listed in the pages is also available in the colors array or object. Validate page palette data undefined. All right, so now JSON.pages.for each JSON pages for each page, and this doesn't work, so we got to do a for let I pay JSON.pages.length plus, so we can break out of it, you know. Let page equals. I think we can use const here because I think the const would be scoped to the for loop, but somehow I feel that this would be bad practice. All right, now we validate this thing a little bit. If not array dot is array page, return false. Else we go page dot map dot page dot find val, and here we're gonna say const color vals equals object dot values, no, object dot keys JSON dot colors, and I'm gonna output that as well. So colors are this, and then val colors dot includes not colors dot includes val. So we're basically trying to find a color that's not in a page that's not available. Import, boom, page yada 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 undefined, right? But if I now do this and I put a underscore here and then do import, we get an underscore here, right? So that's another check. If page.find is not equal to undefined, return false. And I could put warning messages all over the place, but other than that, yeah. Okay, now there could be other matches, checks. There could be checks that each color object element thingamajig is an actual CSS color, but you know, This is good enough. This is good enough. If import data. So if it all passes, I'm going to return the JSON. So we either get back false or we get... you know what? We're instead of going to validate, we're going to parse data. And instead of false, we're just going to return undefined. We could return null. Let's return null. So the API is basically the same as JSON.parse. I think that's reasonable. Because I don't want to have to check for Boolean versus object, right? So import, boom. This doesn't even have to be an error. Then we get a null back, right? And other than that, if we take a valid palette, import it, we get these back. Now, what we don't have here are the palette name. And I don't know if I'm actually using the ID anywhere. So if I remove these two, does that affect anything? I very, very much completely and utterly doubt that. But let's keep that in there. You know what? I'm not going to worry about that right now. We're not using the data for now. And labeling them and stuff could be part of a different level, for a different layer of functionality. The point is, I want people to export the data and mail it over to me, and then I want to be able to look at it. And this is early testing phase, so subject to changes and so on and so forth. So, where are we now? So we have the import-export buttons. The dialogues disappear, which is kind of part of my dialogue thing. I'm not sure there's much I can do about that, and I don't know if it's an actual problem. We got the palette data. We got... So I think I actually want to turn that into some kind of function. Parse palette data, that's just going to go up here. And then we want to do const export palette data. That's just going to be a function that does this parsey thing and then returns the palette data. I'm just going to do this. And I'm just going to return that. Return. Return. There we go. And this should actually be a method. Actions. Edit mode. I think export import might as well live here as well. Kind of like that. All right. And then we'll just do this dot export palette. Right. And the palette data, is that being used here? Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, we need to do close dialog because we are starting out from the settings dialog. So we get the data here. Let next new palette or next palette equals this. If next palette equals null. Console.error invalid palette data. Invalid import data. Else. Now, this is where we actually do the work, right? Next palette. Now, there's two parts to this. There is the colors in the CSS, and there is... And I don't think I'm going to finish this today because I'm realizing there's a little bit of shenanigans going on, because currently when you edit colors, it doesn't actually persist this in any way. So let's have a quick look. Save. I used to have a save thing in here somewhere. Dot. Add settings. Save data. Set data. Set data. You see, because this does not include the palette data. So export palette plus current page. So currently, oh no, it's dangerous. I don't know what that does. So currently, so.warn set page palette. Now, if I compare the palette data here with what export palette outputs, and I don't even know how often this happens. This seems to happen quite a couple of times, right? Is that a problem? Probably not. The export, on the other hand, could be a problem, because the running through all the colors isn't trivial. So what we might do is we might pull the color data once on tool start and then just track it as part of the palette data. And then as we change the colors, we update it. Because right now, when we're changing a color, here, we're actually updating the colors as well, right? Set these as well, yeah. So instead of export palettes, we want, because this actually includes the pages. So we actually want to do get palette colors as a separate function, which does, most of the interesting things here. Kind of all of this. And then just return colors. Right. And then this would be just basically something like this. Right. All right. And then get palette colors can happen once on when should this happen? When we're entering the tool? Because I don't think it can happen on init. I don't think it can happen on init. Because I think here, not all the style sheets have been loaded yet. So the colors won't be available yet. Now, we know they're available when we change to the... well, I'm saying it, but we might be changed to the tool before everything is loaded. So get color palette. Oh, okay, no. They're all here. I don't know if it's a guarantee, so I don't want to run the mistake that somebody injects a color style sheet at a later stage. Yeah, so the point being here is I don't want to run through 475 styles and manipulate them all the time, because it could literally break performance on a phone. Excuse me. So I'm trying to find a way of doing that once and then caching the value, but it doesn't necessarily have to be once. It could be a couple of times, right? So it could be every time we change to the tool, for example. So handle tool enter. Now it happens much earlier than puzzle is loaded, but it might happen once all the files are loaded, right? Set page happens twice, here and here. Take care, have a good evening. Yeah, I gotta tie it up soon because, man, I gotta update the mobile app, so I cannot dedicate even more time to this. It's been more than 2 weeks in the making already. But I gotta get it right. Gotta get it right. All right. If we pull in the colors and then store them in the current palette, because the idea is we actually have to save them to local storage, so when you're changing them, it persists, right? Maybe we can do it. No, we gotta. Because I was just thinking, maybe we can do it the first time you actually change the colors. So in other words, we pull them on demand, right? So we just load them, and if they're not there. So, in other words, this is the object that we're exporting and importing. You know what? I think I'm gonna separate the palette from the current page. It doesn't make, because you're changing pages all the time. That's just a small setting, right? So we don't want to store the palette here. So how many places is this used? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's tool, color, page, and it's just gonna be current page. And then we'll find the other one, tool, color, page, and we're gonna do this for now, or we're actually gonna do, no, we're gonna do this for now. All right, and then we're gonna do current page equals this or 0. And current page isn't used again, so we're gonna do that. All right, so if I now refresh this, go to the third page and refresh again, we're still on the third page. All right, and now we gotta do that separately for the palette itself. So it's gonna be basically palette or default palette. Now we should really parse, validate the palette as well. Set palette, how often do I call this? This shouldn't happen very often. Set palette. Set palette. In fact, it's only happening once. So what I'm thinking of doing is, we're gonna move the default palette into set palette as a validator thing. So then this goes in here, right? Get rid of that. So now if we refresh this, undefined reading length, yeah, that's expected. So this is inside set palette, right? Then we're gonna do if type of palette equals string, and we're actually gonna an object. If type of palette equals string, basically the validator, the palette validator, right? We have two parts to it. parsing and validating. Action. So let's do. I'd like to make it dual purpose. So p dot parse palette data. Let's change it to validate palette data, and then we'll do the parsing basically as incidental. On data. And then we're gonna do if type of data equals string. Only then do we do this bit, right? And this bit. All right. Return if type of yada yada yada. So return null const JSON data, and then we can just start working with JSON. That should just work because it got created here. We might have to do this. Not quite sure how that works, but this will work for sure. If type of data equals string. Do this. Else JSON equals data. I'm gonna do this. If type of palette is this, we'll do this. No else, no JSON. We'll replace that with palette. And this, and then this. And now we have this. We can get rid of. We'll do this dot validate palette data. So that still works the same way. But now we can also use it to validate the data going into set palette. And then we can do not this at all. We do this. And then we can see what happens, what we get out. Validate palette data is null. All right. So, palette equal or this. I think I'm okay with using or here. And then we can do like this and this. And now that should do the right thing. Yeah, I guess we could just do that. And it should, you know, it should clean that up and come out this way. And we don't actually use the colors here, but we can now update them. We don't need this. Palette pages length. Palette. Yeah, we don't even use palette here. We can do this. But more importantly, where we're editing the palette, which is here, we should color dash no, CSS color name already does that. All right, so if I now go here, long press on this, change that weird pink to a bright red. So here this is we got all the information. So we can say console.log palette. So what goes in there is val pref color next color, and pref color currently works that way. So we're gonna change that. We're gonna do this dot palette dot colors val, and then just next color. Now these next colors, I guess they translate to RGB. If I do this and change, okay, what happens here? Cannot read properties of undefined. So color, no, tool, color, tool dot palette does not have the colors in it right now. All right. So either we put that into the default palette or we just make sure. Handle color. So I think what I want to do here is actually, we'll actually do a p.set color. And it's just going to be val or key color. And that's just going to be handling all that. Key color. And it should also handle this. Set CSS. Now, here, the next color is RGB. And the CSS color name is used here. I feel like we should just wrap all of this up, and then we should homogenize the palettes, the stuff in here. So instead of doing all of this here, input.value. So instead of doing any of this stuff here, we're just gonna do this.set color, val, and the next color is just this. Next RGB. I think that could work. So this is now hex color, set color L to RGB, whatever, right? And then we basically verify if it's the same or not. Just gonna call that key. Previous color. Const palette colors. This. No, palette. And then palette colors equals if colors equals undefined. Except new. And then we'll just do. All right. So we need the CSS color name. We need color as, okay, so that's next color. So let's do this. Pref CSS pref color. Pref CSS color. And then we'll do pref color, which we'll take out of the palette of the colors here. Like this. And then the next color is going to be just color, right? So color. Hey guys. I guess I... Yeah, I gotta wind down in the next 10 minutes. So let's see, can we sort this out? Basically, I want to get the right numbers in it here. So color is the new color. So we want to first do this, and next color is just going to be color now. Or let's call it next color. No, no. Makes it explicit. I found this usually quite useful, actually. So now that we know something has changed, we want to update the CSS variable at the same time as the colors in the palette. So colors key equals next color. I think that's fine. And then we can do this sort of thing. Like that. And that should give us the updated value. And then we can do the same thing with colors key. Like that. And then that's just key and colors key, which is just going to be next color now. And that should update the internal palette in sync with the actual CSS variable. Ref color is not defined. Ref color. I think I'm okay with just calling that ref color in this colors key. That. All right, let's do this again. And we'll change the green. Okay, pref CSS color. Did I not change all of them yet? Change the green. All right, so previous colors here. Then we have what's in the internal array. Now the first one, the internal array should not have a value, undefined. And then from then on, it has a value, which is always in sync. And now, if we go to the first page, is that a problem? Set page needs to exit edit mode. So exit edit mode. So set page. Set page. Set page needs to exit edit mode. All right. First page, first number, light gray. Now we're gonna make it a full-on hardcore magenta, like that. And now, if we go to export, colors 1 here is not a hardcore magenta. Now, why not? Still the light gray. So we've updated the CSS color. We've updated the CSS color using set CSS var, which changes the value of the variable. So if I do get property value dash dash cell dash color dash 1. If I do this, it gives me the right one. So this is what I'm supposed to be using, not scanning through the CSS and I've done all of this already. So for our exporter, that means validate palette data new. Get palette colors. We are going to find get palette color. Am I using this anywhere else? First of all, get palette colors. No. So export palette. So we can do this. Const pages equals boom. Right. And the pages is an array of arrays. So what we want to do is we want to flatten that array. Pages, zip tip 2. Can we? Do I do this? All right, console. I'm just thinking for 1 sec. Pages. So just to have a reference, these are our pages. I should be able to do this. And that should give me a flat array of the color values when I press here. So that gets us a flat value of these. And then I can map these to something like get CSS val whatever. Get CSS var with this in there, like that. And that should get us an array of color values that maps directly to the actual thingamajigs. All right, so const color keys equals new set. So we have a unique thingamajig, unique list of color keys, and then const colors. Now we're going to turn that into a little object. So we're going to do color keys dot for each key. Colors key, and then we're gonna pull the color out of the CSS like that, and now that should get us the colors, and we won't have to use the whole CSS rule parsing. Should even be more efficient, I imagine. It does get us apparently the spaces in here. All right. So actually, we probably want to trim that. And then we just have colors and pages like that. And then this isn't actually used anymore. We'll deprecate it with double underscores by convention. And now, and that's the stuff here, right? So now we can look at that first color, go into edit mode, change this to, you know, kind of like that, and then go back to exporting. And now this is that color, and it's changed. Okay. So that's what we needed. And this set color now updates that correctly. And I think as a pref color, we can actually use our color palette, right? So instead of doing this, we can now do this. And then that's just key. Like that. Pref color, next color. And rep and that. Yeah, well, we still need that, but it's fine. And then we don't need that anymore. Okay, so we have now a synced local reference to the colors with the color variables on whatever the hell this is. This is like, well, however CSS variables are being handled, right? Now, we need to do persistent of the current set of colors into local storage, loading from local storage, and then import export into local storage and from local storage. Not local storage, from, yeah. All right, so set palette is called on startup, and it validates, it pulls the palette from get data. Okay, so now we also need to store the palette. So every time a color gets updated, we'll need to, so we need a save palette basically. Like that. And this is going to be basically this sort of thing. Palette. And then every time we do set color, we'll do that. It's definitely not necessary, so we'll do a, you know, do throttle this, and that should go here. This dot palette, and then yeah. So if I go here now, edit this first color, make it bright red, go here, this should now be saved. And now if I refresh it, it doesn't get loaded. So why not? All right, save palette. And do this. Tool color palette, is that not stored like that in here? Palette. It does have pages and colors, but only the one. Oh, because the other colors have not been initialized. I think this is basically what I was saying earlier. We need to find the place to pre-initialize things. Basically this, I'm guessing. So we could just do this. basically. I think so. If colors is undefined, do this. So now if I load this, thankfully it didn't waste all my colors. Okay, now if I change this to red, now this should be saved with colors here being red. Now if I refresh, it gets overwritten with the default again. Because red palette. Oh, because we are loading it. We're just not doing anything with it, right? So with set palette, we also want to set the colors. Now set palette shouldn't happen very often, right? Only once in startup. So then we should do palette.colors object.keys palette.colors for each key this.set color key palette.colors key. And that should run set color for every color of the palette. The problem is this will also call save palette for every So we have a bit of a circular thing. We're using set color to update colors that saves it back into the palette, but I want to, so we really need to use this only. So instead of running it through set color, we're gonna do it directly through this thing here, which I'm not super fond of. It is what it is. So there it is. Okay. Now we should add a button for reset to default as well. And I speak slowly because I'm also thinking at the same time. Import export color palette. Or we put it here. Maybe we can put it here. So the reset to default would basically be just an import action on the default. So handle panel toggle, mouse wheel, key tab, key up, import export. So import export. Can I do something like reset to default? Reset to default. So if I do this, then that'll be a good test of a theoretical import thing. So this dot set palette, and then we basically just have to set it to the default palette. Set palette c to default palette. Now the default palette doesn't actually include the default colors, which is a little interesting. But would it still work? Would it still work? So I'm trying to think what happens if the colors aren't there. Set palette, validate palette data. It won't pass validation, that's for sure. So it might make sense to include the full palette right there. Which means I probably should have exported it before I messed around. Oh no, I deleted all of the settings. Can I undo? 125. 125. 125. Validate palette data. 125. Type of palette dot colors. If type of palette equals string. Console.log palette, type of palette, and a second time. Object null, object null. If palette if palette if palette equals no, return no. Cannot convert null undefined to object. Palette cannot convert undefined or null to object. 192. 192. This palette. Palette data. Because yada yada yada, because I don't have the colors in it yet, and it wants the colors in there. All right. Can I just do this? Can I just do this? Why not? Export palette. Export palette. Pages. This dot palette. Export palette. Pages. This dot palette. All right, so I should be able to do this. JSON dot stringify this. No. One of these guys. Tab for you and me. And get all the things right. Where are the things? Like that. It's just awful. Awful, awful, awful. Well, actually, I just need this bitty here. So if I can stick that in here, right? Tap that into the right place, right place, like that. If I do this and then search for these guys, replace some of these guys in selection, then it won't be so offensive to my sensibilities anymore. And I think everything except the colors key is basically how it needs to be. Aha! And now I need to get rid of whatever I did here. All right. And now I should be able to screw this up like that. Now that's already saved, but I can go back in here, reset to default. And if I refresh, so the reset to default needs to also save the palette, which I don't think happens. So set palette doesn't save the palette because it would be circular if it did. But then we can just save palette, right? So then we can just call this .save palette and export palette, reset to default. It's now saved, refresh, and it's good. Undefined is not about JSON. If not undefined, that includes. Wait, no. The string undefined. It's fine. We don't need to. We don't need to print that out. That's fine. So we have a reset. We have, yes. So the last, make sure everything is still working. So if I now change this to a bright red, I go in here, I export it, okay. I go here, paste it. I'm gonna just trust that it works. I go back here, I reset, and that currently doesn't work. Why not? Set palette. Yeah, it's gonna work. Why does this not work? Reset to default. Set palette, object, palette, undefined. Save palette, undefined. Save palette, undefined. Oh, I'm an idiot. It expects me to pass the palette that I want to save in. This.palette. I could default to that, to be fair. Okay. Well, let's change it. That should be saved now. Refresh. It's saved. Go in there. Reset to default. Refresh. That's saved. Go in there. Import, export. Go here. Copy that. Paste it. Import isn't implemented yet. So import is basically the same thing as reset to default. Next palette. It's gonna be just this. Set palette to next palette. And right. Go back in here. Import, export. Put that in there. Import. We got a red there. Refresh. Red still there. All right. Is there always a red in the upper left corner? Unless we reset. Now there's not a red in the upper left corner. All right, that seems to work. Now there's a whole bunch of cleaning up and polishing we gotta do. Maybe later on deal with actually outputting some sort of error message, error dialogues, yada yada yada. Clean that up. Don't need all that spam everywhere. There's gonna be so much cleanup I'm gonna have to do. Probably don't need that. Probably don't need that. Probably don't even need that. 2 seconds, and I'm gonna be putting it back in. So we got save, clipboard. We got paste or load. Save palette is outputting also some more log spam. We're probably gonna get rid of that, like that. That. Right now, there's a lot of spam. Every time we move things around, we're saving to local storage unnecessarily. But it's a good start. Hardcore users should already be able to send me palettes, basically. Don't know whether reset to default. It probably shouldn't be in line with these. Maybe I can put it at the top. At least then you're less likely to press the wrong button by mistake. I think that's maybe actually not a bad idea. Edit mode, set color, for palette. I'm going to move these in here and just make a colors subsection. Handle import export colors. We can move this to top, perhaps under the title. It might look a little weird. This tends to be a lower option. Import new palette. Paste below. Paste JSON below. Export. What if I relabel that button? to copy to clipboard. If I do this, how big is the button? Copy to clipboard. Then I probably don't need the other dialog. It's just a pity I have to do this. We probably can skip this whole thing, right? And then import from import. Import is fine because you have to paste it in below, yada yada. All right, so reset to default, export current palette, copy to clipboard, import new palette, paste JS below, import. If I do this, invalid import data won't do anything. All right. And we can maybe do an alert. Alert. Invalid data. That, yeah. Yeah. So, here, I'm actually gonna, make it a little bit better. Alert. Invalid import data. Import data. Okay. Sweet. All right. I think this is a good place to stop. I'm going to have to do a pass over it tomorrow, make sure it's all sane. But except for the import export group, which I think is going to be useful, the only changes we have are in this file. Let's embiggen this a little. See if we can do some quick cleanups here. 260. Probably get rid of all of this now. Probably don't want to spam this anymore. All right, clean that up. We added set color, export palette. Fine. Get palette color. I think I'm just gonna remove that. I don't think I'm gonna use that at all. Okay, because the version I have now is actually more robust to multiple overlapping style sheets and all that stuff. So wheat, and it's lazy loading, so it's fine too. That's fine. That's fine. All right, I actually like this. So add color palette, import, export. All right, so as per tradition, I'm gonna do the daily puzzle as a quick test sanity check. I'm not gonna like test the feature. I'm just gonna make sure it still plays a puzzle. And that also means I'm gonna spoil the 2 days or the current daily puzzle for you. Obviously, I'm gonna play that in my local version of the software. Let me put it over here. So we have a little bit of space, a little bit of a larger version of it. Let's have the console open because it's supposed to be some kind of test. So, and let me make sure it actually is on screen for the stream. I don't have a professional, puzzle streamer set up. Okay, let's see what we got. No Sudoku rules. No, we're gonna reset. I wanna hit the timings here. All the cells. Wait. Also, the cells along each line can be divided into connected groups so that every group sums to exactly 10, or similar to the 20 lines that we saw on the CTC channel. I saw it today. Probably went out yesterday. Groups are not all along the line. Every cell must be part of a group. For instance, the line of 6 cells. Okay, so this could be 1 or 2 groups. I don't think it can be 3. You cannot go to 30 under 4. So that's not 7. So that's a 1. That's 10. And then these two add up to 10 without a 1, 2, or 7. So 4, 6, right? And then these are 3, 5, 8, 9. And these aren't 3. So that's a 3. So that's either a 7. It has to be a 7 because 10s can be on a single cell. So they have to be at least 2. All right. And that cannot be a 1, 2, 3, 4 anymore. So that's a 7. And then this is either, well, it can't be a 5. So that's a 1 or a 2. All right. 3, 6 is 9, so that's got to be a 1. These two needs to add up to 7 without using a 1, 9. Could be a 2, 8. No 3, 7, no 4, 6. So it is a 2, 8. And then we have 4, 5, 7, 9. And we have the same thing on these. For example, that can't be a 9, because then that's what have to be a 1. We can have a 5 on these, which is, wait. Can't have a 5 on, we could have a 5 here, because we could have a 5 here. Can't have a 5 here. So this is a 6 or a 3. Yeah, it's still, these are still split up into 2 pairs. Right. So this could be a 6, a 5, a 3. Can't be a 1, so this can't be a 9. So these, one of these is a 9. So one of these, this one or this one has to be a 1. Interesting. 3, 7. These could be a double 5. It's quite interesting. 1 up here. That's a pair. Oh, wait. Oh, this can't be a 1. All right. So we are missing a 4. What's a 4? This can't be a 4. All right. That puts the 4 down here. 5, 7, 3, 7. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a 9. So there's 9. Yeah, let's get these. So 5, 5, 4, 7, 3. And then 3, 6. So there's no 3 here. So there's definitely a 3 here. Oh, wait. Can't have a 7. Why? I erased all my settings. That's why I don't have check pants mode. That should really be on by default. Let me add that as a default check pencil marks on. That should be okay for Simon. I think he's the one who's most concerned about these settings popping on unexpectedly. All right. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. 3, 7. No 7 here, no 5 here, 4, 6. That's a 9. It's a 5, so that means that's a 5 and that's a 1. Okay, so it's suddenly become a lot easier. Now this could be a 5, but this could also be longer than that. 8 and 5 more, so this got to be a 2, 5. So these two have to add up to 5. Not like that. So no 2, no 3, no 2, no 3, 1, 4. Okay. These two are 11, so this one got to pair up with this one. And then this has to form a 5 over here. Okay. 9, 1. So these two have to add up to 10. So 2, 8. Can't be 3, 7. Can't be 1, 9. Can't be 4, 6. So that's a 2, 8. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No 8. That's an 8. No 8, no 1. No 8, no 1. That's the 1. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the 3's got to be here. 7, 6, and 9 out of these. That's a 9 now, all of a sudden. And then this is a 8. All right. 4, 5, 6, 7. Can't be an 8. No, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. That's already sorted out. And here we're missing 4 and a 6, apparently. And 3, 5, 7, 9. 1, 2, 3. And 6. 1, 4, 8. All right. And here we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 3 has to be one of these. So I guess this has to be 2 and 2, right? Because 10 can't be 1. Yeah. So one of these is a 3. So one of these is a 7. And they can only be 4, 7, and 1. Okay. 6, 7, so 3, 2. So that's 110. So then this is it can't be a 1, so this can't be a 9. So this could be a 3 or a 1, 2 pair. Except that can't be a 1 or 2, so that's a 3. And then these two are some kind of combination to add up to 5. So 7, 3, like that. 9, 6, 7, 9, 1. All right. Now we're in the home stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. 5, 2, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. 8, 2, 6, and 4. 8, 2, 4, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. All right, I'm just running down the numbers now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. Like that. All right, 725 and 8 bars. 8. Yay, double hat. All right, that's it. Thanks for hanging out. I think the color tool is starting to become almost ready for beta release, at least. The colors themselves, obviously not great. I'm going to rely on you guys to provide me with some better palettes for that. And other than that, we're moving forward. So just a little macro overview. The plan right now is to release current beta into production this week, coming week, and release the color palette update into beta testing. And then I'm going to go hardcore on updating the mobile apps. It's been so long pending, and I can't really justify building other big features. There's a whole bunch of stuff I want to build. There's one side project I want to work on, which is just basically a basic HTML page linked to from the app. Basically just what's on the homepage right now. So instead of this, I'm going to replace that with an actual listing of puzzles, you know. And maybe this really should be updated, the hotkey stuff. Put it on another page, but on here I want to have a listing of puzzles with links to maybe sub pages and all this sort of thing. And then, you know, take it from there. Hey, Catnip, you're just catching me on the outro. On other news, thanks so much for the support. I'm almost at 500 subs for YouTube. I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's very motivating, even though, you know, it doesn't pay the rent, but it puts a smile on my face, and I appreciate you guys subscribing to this channel, even though, you know, I understand the videos aren't for everyone. You know, I'm just kind of mumbling to myself and working away for a couple hours. But I definitely want to change that. I want to start posting videos, demoing things, you know, for example, you know, talk about color palettes and what looks good and what people want, and maybe put up polls and things like that. Right now I'm only on YouTube because earlier today when I was streaming to both, but to do that it goes through a third-party service, and sometimes they just don't function properly, and the video was just not keeping up, dropping frames. It was horrible. And my connection is fine, but from that service to YouTube, sometimes it fails, or to Twitch, or to both. So I had to stream, and I can only stream to one at a time. So next stream, it should go back to normal, Twitch and YouTube. And yeah, there have been a couple of new patrons joining in recent days, which is really nice to see. Makes it all worthwhile. And I hope I can keep it up, and then hopefully upcoming releases will make more people more happy. And that's kind of the goal. Sure, go for it. There is a bit of a delay, so I don't know if your question will come in quickly enough, because I got the dogo breathing down my neck, to be honest. It's best to just send the question into the chat, and then I may or may not see it. Because while we're waiting for that question, the goal now is to kind of solicit kind of potential palettes that people would like to see, and then kind of amalgamate some kind of commonality. I think I might stick with the basic 9 colors on the first page, maybe adjust them, improve them. And then what my idea was to have one page with 9 completely distinct colors that make it easy to kind of assign one color per digit, and then maybe have some sort of generic utility palette with just, you know, odd, even, the entropy line stuff, you know, things like that. Yeah, you can post your question in my Discord as well. Like, you cannot post links on YouTube comments. Just post it to the Discord and I'll see it there, because I I gotta shut down the stream. Yeah, I'll see it there for sure. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Take care, guys. Have a good evening, and I'll see you guys in the next stream. Bye bye.